Exactly. So hello guys and welcome to the very first game of the Zero Empires Invitational Grand Finals between Spring and Hallis, your scholar. Up to the, well, over to the far west of the map in the blue, we have got Spring and he is playing as the Incas.
And on the right half of the map, the eastern half, we have Hallis, your scholar here as the yellow player, playing as the Incas as well.
Yes, and the map, of course, is Yucatan, and I'm so excited to see how this one goes. Obviously, going into this event, Spring has been the favorite to win, and Hallis has been this #2 seed all along. Though, I've got to say, Hallis' performance in these games so far has been, at times, a little bit questionable, and I really hope he can pull through for the finals today and actually give us a really good set of games against Spring here.
Oh yeah, completely agreed. While both players have made their fair share of really amazing plays here, I think that during the Hallis Scholar versus Robo series, we definitely saw a little bit of shaky play here and there, which hopefully Hal has ironed out before this series begins.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's been a couple of times where he was really kind of a little bit on edge, I think, and definitely not 100% comfortable in his play. But like I say, hopefully he's ironed that out, and whatever issues he's been having the last few weeks or whatever, he's managed to sort out, and he's in shape for today's games. So Incas, anyway, what are your thoughts about the Incan civilization?
I'm actually a bigger fan of the Incas, I think, than most people give me credit for. They've sort of become kind of a running joke on my channel because I would normally talk about how I don't think that their Eagle Warriors are very good, but their Eagle Warriors are really only one small fraction of the civilization as a whole, and I think that they actually, while they might be a very peculiar civ with strange bonuses, I think they have a lot of really powerful things at their disposal.
Oh,
For
yeah.
one, the cheaper stone on the buildings really helps a lot, and starting with the llama, great for scouting. Great in case you can't find your sheep at the start, and I think the Incas have a very strong variety of units that can be tough to counter in the late game.
Yeah,
what about you? What do you think?
For sure, I think the starting llama is definitely a really cool little feature. And interestingly enough, actually, Spring hasn't even taken that llama, or he's not even using it to scout at the moment either. Obviously, with Yucatan, that llama bonus isn't so much of a bonus anymore because there is just so much food on this map. That 100 food that the llama offers is not really a huge bonus. But like you say, yeah, their Eagle Warriors definitely are lacking a little bit, but that's not really what the Incas are about. They've got a lot of other great things at their disposal, especially that Slinger. I love that unit. I think it's fantastic, especially as well if you're against another infantry civilization.
Oh yeah. With the Kameyuks and the Slinger combination in the late game can be definitely very devastating. You can tack on a couple Onagers, some other siege weapons in there, and it can be a real pain to deal with sometimes. And some people might not know this, but for those of you who are not aware, the llama actually has a slightly better line of sight than the turkeys and the sheep, so it can actually be a very effective scouting unit in the early game, in addition to a free source of food. So
Exactly,
the Incas have some odd bonuses, but very helpful ones.
Oh yeah, they are definitely helpful. And that's the thing about the llama as well, like you say, that slightly increased line of sight can actually give a nice little scouting boost. Though I think in most situations, the llama is more of a safety net than anything. Obviously, if you have trouble finding your first couple of sheep, then or turkeys, or whatever it is, or cows even in the Forgotten, if you have trouble finding them, the llama is there to keep you happy on a troublesome night.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that their houses give 10 population instead of 5, you actually really do save a lot of wood in the long run with that bonus.
Oh, you do, actually, and I think that could actually put them in a nice situation for a bit of a galley rush as well. I mean, that little bit of extra saved wood could really add up to quite a lot. So we've got a little bit of action going on already, both of them deciding to do a little bit of a drush, and we've got Spring coming forwards with that barracks there, and trying to wall up this gold from Hallis, which is really unfortunate for him. That is fairly lame indeed.
Yeah, this is not the first time that we have seen Spring do this, actually, because in the final match for the AoE2 HD OZ Clans tournament for Age of Empires 2 HD Edition, actually, this is exactly what Spring did to the Viper in the grand finals here with the forward villager and the drush as well.
Yeah, and it can be incredibly effective. Obviously, if you push your opponent away from a resource, it buys your villager that time to do that walling. And although it is very lame, of course, there is no anti-laming rules, because it is my opinion that players should be able to do whatever is possible within the confines of the game, pretty much. So this drush so far, fairly effective at the moment, causing Hallis to lose a bit of villager time on those berries, and also buying himself the time to wall that gold. Now, fortunately for Hallis, he does have a gold to the south, but it's blocked off, actually. The trees and the stone there blocking it off, so that one's out of the question. And the one on the left, well, Spring's already on his way over there to wall it up, and that is going to be a real hassle for Hallis to deal with a bit later on.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really big problem for Hal here, because like you said, he doesn't have access to that other gold at the bottom of his base, and with the stone blocking it, there's really no way. Like, he has to remove these palisade walls before he can mine gold, and that kind of rules out the option of going archers immediately in the feudal age right now, since he just has no access to gold.
Yeah, definitely. I think he may end up just going straight to skirmishes. The metagame here should indicate that Spring will likely go for archers in the feudal age. But you never know. With this being Yucatan and having so much food, obviously with the 3 boars, usually a decent deer patch, though I don't see that many deer around, and obviously a huge amount of turkeys. Spring may decide to follow this up with a fast castle, or a fast-ish castle, if he so desires.
Yeah, definitely. When I look at Spring's map, it just looks very solid in general. We see that he's got his main gold in a very, very easily defensible position. Since this is Yucatan, of course, I think he could wall up quite nicely. So we might actually see him go for a fast castle off this, but only time will tell. And it looks like Spring is also going to wall off that stone as well from Hal.
Yeah, walling off the stone, and also adding in an extra militia as well. They're getting a little bit close to that TC. Now, that extra militia, it could be an indicator. If he's adding in more, then we could see even man-at-arms from him in the feudal age. But Spring's gone up now to the feudal age on 30 population. Hallis, on the other hand, is already up to feudal, and he's gone up on 28, though he has, of course, a little bit less military at the moment after losing a couple more militia, I believe.
Indeed. I don't know if you saw this, but it looks like there's a gap. You see Hallis Scholar's palisade wall? If you scroll down a little bit, I believe there's a gap right there. Do you think he's noticed that yet?
Well, I hope he notices. I mean, he should see that. He should definitely see that when he looks at that idle villager, because that gap is just... it's in his line of sight. It's very obvious. But Hallis is up to feudal quite quickly here, and in comparison to Spring, that is. And 2 ranges going up. Now, obviously, as you said before, no gold access means no archers. And we've got Spring adding in more militia as well here. So that could be really interesting if Hallis does go for skirms. Obviously, man-at-arms will be a pretty good counter to that if they can, get right up in the skirmishers' faces.
Huh, oh yeah, and we actually see a spearman coming out here from Hallis Scholar as well. I guess trying to get a little bit of melee support for his army. There are no scouts coming out, of course, because he is Incas, but he has no access to gold, so this is really all he can do, unfortunately. Yeah,
I mean, skirmishers are an okay unit for defending. I mean, defense with skirmishers, absolutely fine. But obviously, once you've defended and once you want to go and push out, the skirmishers really lose all of that power that they have in terms of defense. I mean, going forwards, they have so little attack, it takes them a long time to kill villagers, and they really make a very weak offensive unit. So Hallis having to create skirmishes here is less than ideal, but like we say, I mean, he has no choice at the moment, and there's that man-at-arms upgrade from Spring as well. We'll see if he can do much damage with these guys, or if they're just going to get cornered.
Yeah, it looks like they're about to get pincered in here as the skirmishers are moving in, and Spring has basically 2 options here. Run and sustain heavy losses, or he's going to have to fight, and it looks like he is opting to fight right now.
Yeah, you see how little damage those skirms are doing. Obviously, with just 2 attack, it's taking them a whole 23 even hits on each man-at-arms to take it down. So those man-at-arms, extremely resilient against these skirms. And whilst these guys are in the back of Hallis's base, Spring's continuing to build forward at the front with 2 ranges. And we may see archers coming out from him very quickly as well as a mix of skirms in there also.
Yeah, I'm anticipating that Spring might actually put down a forward watchtower as well at some point soon. One thing that worries me is it does not look like Hallis Scholar has actually closed that gap at the bottom of his base yet. I am not sure if he's noticed this, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is still open. This tournament has been riddled with problems in terms of walling. The amount of gaps in walls has been a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you. I mean, so many games lost due to a single gap. However...
Yeah, absolutely. Walls have been the kryptonite of every player in this tournament so far. I think that and houses. I've seen a remarkable amount of players actually get housed in this tournament.
Yes, even Spring as well at times. But, you know, nobody is perfect. So, Hallis at the moment then, massing up these skirmishes. Maybe he's learned a trick or two from Doubt, and he's just going to keep powering on through with the skirms at the moment. So, that gap at the back, like you say, is still there, but at the moment it's not really too much of a problem for Hallis. And oh dear, Hallis did not patrol that one, I don't think. Running those skirms into the men-at-arms, big mistake.
He's going to walk right into Spring's army here. Now, skirmishers are actually pretty difficult to counter in the feudal age because you don't have access to mangonels, and especially considering that, well, these guys are Incas, right? And they don't get access to scout cavalry.
No.
The skirmishers can be pretty tricky, but I think one thing that might be important to consider right now is that can Hallis Scholar even get fletching without access to any gold?
Well, he'll have to build a market.
Problem.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting up that blacksmith at the back now, but he's going to have to build a market if he wants to get any upgrades here at all. Obviously, Spring has got fletching at the moment, and Hallis still without fletching for the time being, which is obviously quite a big disadvantage for him when he's going in 1v1 against this army. I mean, these men-at-arms are going to act as a very strong meat shield against the skirms, and then the skirmishers at the back can just follow it through with that extra range as well. So we've got a little bit of lag at the moment. Hallis is getting a little bit of a red comet, so I hope he's not got like a little brother or sister like hogging the internet or something.
Yeah, that would be some very bad timing. I expect to see padded archer armor coming out for Hallis Scholar very shortly, but having the extra range for Spring is really going to add up, as we can see right here as he's getting the first shot on Hallis Scholar's army before he has time to react.
Yeah, and that's the main problem. I mean, fletching is pretty much always the better option in nearly every situation. And of course, padded archer armor doesn't cost any gold, so if he needs some extra buffs to this army, then that will be the one he has the only option to go for. And yeah, he's doing that one now. But I mean, really, padded archer armor isn't going to benefit this army that much. I mean, the skirmishers here with the +1 are still going to outrange him, and that padded archer armor is basically just going to make the damage output even once again.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Hallis Scholar right now. He does have a really big army of these skirmishers, but Spring is kind of going to be able to clean this up here. Especially considering that he has these men-at-arms and skirmishers have a minimum range.
I don't know, though, because he can just bring them back towards the TC, and the men-at-arms cannot really do a whole lot. And I've got to say, I mean, Hallis has microed that one fairly well. I think he probably did roughly about the same amount of damage there as he lost units there. So I think Hallis is holding on for now, and we see the market going up on the left side as well, and also that watchtower, which we completely just missed, going up on that left-hand side.
I figured that Spring would put a watchtower right there to try and zone him off the wood eventually, but I did not see him put that down. It's pretty cool to see, though, that Hallis Scholar has organized his base in a very methodical manner to try and keep Spring, really restrict his mobility. And as you say, you know, he's just pulling his skirmishers back under the town center, and he's really holding on right now.
He is. I mean, the one downside at the moment is Spring has about, Hallis has about 6 visible idle villagers, 8 even, and that is obviously less than ideal. Some of these villagers getting pushed away from the wood here, but I think he should be able to take down this watchtower in time. I mean, he's bashing away at that. Obviously, he needs a little bit more support on there, but that watchtower so far not claimed any villager lives just yet, but Spring taking another approach now should be able to catch this villager out, but what? He's just going to walk straight by. Okay.
Oh, we got a really heavy wall up here coming in from Hallis Scholar. Smart of him to wall back there because, you know, Spring can just delete those palisade walls as he's doing right now. He might actually be able to get a villager here. No, oh, but his entire army
he's getting trapped, man. That is really nice, and Spring may have to delete some of these palisades if he really wants to get out of here comfortably. Hallis now just finishing fletching as well, and that means they're even on the upgrades, and Hallis can take quite a few lives from Spring on this left side. Nice movement by him, and the watchtower goes down as well, and I think that's because Spring has ran out of stone completely. which means he couldn't afford to keep those repairs going. And Spring looks like he may lose that repairer there as well, as a little villager fight ensues at the bottom of the map. And I am impressed at Hallis' defensive capabilities at the moment. He's doing a fantastic job of defending this, considering, you know, he's had no gold access for quite some time.
And truly a remarkable defense here from Hallis' Scholar, and as you say, his villager is dead. In fact, you were right. Spring actually only had 14 stone left by the time that tower went down, so he's basically completely out of stone because of that.
Yeah, definitely, and that's a little bit of a problem now, because Spring is going up to the Castle Age, though he does still have quite a few villagers gathering stone. He's got, what, 6 villagers on the left side taking stone here, so he should have enough stone for a second and third TC when he needs it. But at the moment, this forward from Spring has been very effective. He's taken a lot of gathering time from Hallis. He's done a lot of eco damage, even though he's not really killed many villagers. And the problem for Hallis now is that Spring is about to be up to the Castle Age. He's on 53% on that upgrade, and we've got ranges coming down back at Spring's base as well. So we're going to see those upgrades coming in. We'll probably see Elite Skirmisher, of course. And
oh yeah. I have to say, this has already been a fantastic game from both players here. It's just really cool to see Hallis' Scholar not buckling under the pressure, because Spring really is really turning it up right now by walling off all of his resources, coming in here with such an early forward, and yet Hal has completely managed to defend it in its entirety, and he's building back. The scores are completely even right now, and now Hal is on the offensive. Yeah,
the only difference, of course, here is that Hallis hasn't actually clicked up to Castle yet. So that slight score dip from Spring would have been partially due to clicking up to Castle. The problem now is that Hallis has to do some damage quickly, whilst Spring has gone back to base, because there's the Castle Age upgrade from him. And as soon as Spring gets those upgrades in, he will push Hallis right back. And I don't even think Hallis wants to risk going any further forward by the looks of things.
Yeah, unfortunately, right, Hallis' Scholar, he does have to pull back here as the Bodkin arrow is coming out from Spring. It is almost complete. I expect to see Elite Skirmisher as well whenever he gets the money for that.
It's on 60% now. He's doing it in the forward archery range. Of course, he's still got these 2 ranges at the front, which Hallis hasn't actually walled up or anything. So Spring's just continuing to make army from there. And I imagine we'll see Crossbow coming in fairly soon as well. Spring now is going to have quite a big upper hand. Now, I guess the real problem for Spring at the moment is that if he wants to go with archers, he knows that Hallis is only making skirms for the time being. So for Spring to go archers now, it's kind of a little bit pointless. He may as well just keep on making the elite skirms. Because like you say, there's no real easy way to counter them without having cavalry.
Yep. We might actually see a forward siege workshop from Spring at some point soon to really put the pressure on here and maybe get out a mangonel, which will just one-shot this entire skirmisher army. They are fighting right now directly under one of Hal's watchtowers here, but the watchtower is really not going to do too much to these skirmishers, but it looks like Hal is actually going to win this battle barely, maybe.
Maybe. It's difficult because Spring has these skirmishers coming out on the front here. He looks like he should be able to clear up the elite skirmishers on the left, but the problem is there's more skirmishers coming in every minute by Spring.
And a bunch of forward villagers.
I've got to say, though, this is such an entertaining game. It's so fantastic to see the huge amount of spam coming down and a castle on the front for Spring now as well. And that is... well, that's a little bit concerning, as Hallis GG's the first game. Well played by both, and that was a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, both players played that exceptionally well. It looks like Hallis' Scholar was almost able to gain some momentum there, but like you mentioned, Spring got to the Castle Age first, and he got the techs out, and unfortunately, Hallis' Scholar's numbers advantage did not really matter in that case, and that's not a siege workshop, that's a castle. And
yes,
when Hal saw that, he realized that it was basically game at that point. There was nothing he could do. He couldn't get to the next stage in time.
I am just looking at Hallis' resources here, though, and he has nearly... Well, he did have enough to go up to the Castle Age there. The problem is, he was so late getting up to that 800 food and 200 gold, that it was... too late for him to really make a comeback from that point, and obviously not having access to this gold as well would have just proved more and more problematic as the game went on. And with that castle going down on the front, there is so little that Hallis would have been able to do there to actually break out, and obviously that entire situation was set up by Spring, simply just because he had a great forward there, and Hallis was on the defensive for the majority of that game.
Oh yeah, and the player that's usually stuck on the defensive for most of the game is usually the one who ends up losing. Spring here just had so much more map control, and Hal, things weren't looking good for him since he didn't have access to all those resources. It is surprising, though, to note that Hallis Scholar actually had a 4-villager lead. Not super substantial, but he was showing signs of life throughout that game, and it was really well played from both players there. Definitely a pleasure.
Definitely. Like you say, actually, that villager lead that Hallis had, he didn't really lose any villagers that entire game, and he kept that villager production going, which is always so crucial in these kind of situations. So anyway, we're going to come back out now, and we'll be going to game